Hello and welcome to an early morning Riverside scene with a difference. Just a few hours after millions stayed up late to watch England's World Cup exploits in South America, thousands of triathletes have risen before dawn for their own sporting journey through Berkshire rather than Brazil in what is without doubt one of the country's most iconic swim, bike, run races. Welcome to this year's Triathlonguard Windsor Triathlon. Well, you'd imagine it would only ever be the pupils at nearby Eton College who would ever be up at this time on a Sunday morning, perhaps putting in a little bit of extracurricular PE. But once a year, triathletes of all ages and abilities get up to show the schoolboys exactly how it's done. Well, I'm delighted to be joined by Annie Emerson this weekend. Annie, there's nothing not to like about this race. You've got the current, the river swim, you've got a great bike course, and you've got the run that takes you up by the castle.
Well, yeah, it's a fantastic race, and as you said, the surroundings are so beautiful. I think what's really cool about this race is the number of spectators on the run, and that's when the athletes, really need the encouragement. And the streets of Windsor are just packed with spectators, and so the support really helps them.
How big a role do you think this triathlon has played in developing the sport? Because it's been around a long time, long before it became as trendy as it is now.
Absolutely. It's been going for over 20 years. And as you said, it is so popular, and it's been so popular with the elites over the years as well. It's been national championships. It was an Olympic qualifier back in, I think it was 1999. So we've seen so many of Great Britain's top athletes racing here.
Well, we've also got two cracking elite races. In the women's event, it's in some regards hard to look past Emma Pallant, really.
Oh, it'll be very hard. She ran so well, and obviously we saw her win in Blenheim just last week. I think we'll be looking at Katie Synge as well. She finished third. Very, very strong athlete.
In the men's race, the tissues are out for Richard Stannard, the veteran's going for his last competitive Windsor. He did say he'd be back in future as an age grouper. I'm still not 100% convinced he will stay retired. But apart from Stannard, you've got Stewie Hayes, Dave Bishop, Mark Buckingham. There's some big names in there.
Well, there are some really big names, and I think we're going to see a really interesting, exciting men's race. Let's not forget as well, Yasin Harrett, who raced really well. He's a young athlete based up in Leeds, training with the Brownlee brothers. He finished fourth last weekend in Blenheim. He quite rates himself as well. Very strong, very positive athlete. But I think really we're going to be looking at Mark Buckingham, David Bishop. Stewie's had a few injury problems, so not sure how he's going to fare on the run, but certainly going to be very strong on the swim and the bike.
Thanks very much, Annie. Plenty of drama to come, so let's get straight over to our race commentator, Patrick Winterton, for a guide as to what's coming up.
The second race of four, the British Triathlon Super Series has gone from Blenheim Palace to Windsor Castle, and there's a bit of a breeze in the air, but once again we have near perfect conditions for the triathlon, and the setting is hard to beat. All 3,200 bikes were racked last night, and many of the athletes had yesterday to soak up the atmosphere and prepare every minute detail for today's race. The age group athletes have the choice of Olympic or sprint distance. The elite who race sprint in Blenheim today go over the Olympic with 1,500 metres in the water, 40 Ks on the bike, 10 Ks on the road. The first of the age group athletes going off at 6 in the morning. They will have had their breakfast at about 3:30 this morning, while others were having a nightcap. But before they start, the wetsuit, goggles, caps all have to be on. The bikes, helmets, gels all have to be ready, and the body and mind have to be prepared. Easier said than done at this hour in the morning, but you will see some amazing performances and some amazing fundraising achievements as well.
Well, if you've watched Windsor for the last few years, you'll definitely recognise this fella. He's been one of the stars of the show as far as this triathlon's concerned. Jim, at the tender age of 78, I know he won't mind me giving away his age, you're still looking good, you're still going strong.
Hopefully, yes. I've had a good year last year. With the coverage that you gave me, I was able to make a major contribution to $500,000 for Macmillan Cancer Support. My wife has got cancer, but she's in remission. I'm just delighted to be back here. It's a super venue, seeing all my friends, and would you believe it, I'm actually in the GB team in my age group.
Well, we often see two of the same suit, as in the Brownlees, occasionally a pair, as in the Bishops, but today we've got three of a kind, and without race numbers, we'd have trouble identifying who's who.
We now have the triplets, and there must be some serious rivalry between you three because there's three of them and you're all super fit. How did you get into triathlon?
Well, we've been running for years, and then I guess we were looking for the next challenge, and I think Louise suggested that we did a triathlon about 5 years ago, and we've been hooked ever since.
So what's it like on the start line? Like, are you kind of out there as sisters, or are you out there going, no, I want to win?
We're out there as sisters. We're supportive for each other. We start together. Everyone okay? Everyone set? You okay? You okay?
Okay.
See you at the end.
But the big question is, okay, who wins the most?
You never know. Watch out, though.
Watch out, she's creeping up my shoulder big time.
Now, that was Annie having a chat with the triplets yesterday, and they're due to race in the female 35 to 39-year-old category. Now, with over 3,000 age groupers racing today, the waves start every 4 minutes, and the starter is meticulous with his timing, and he has to be, to ensure that everyone gets a clean start. Now, this is the triplets category, wearing pink caps, but as yet there's no sign of them. There's every chance they're going to miss the start. Here they come. This is the worst possible start for them, and the starter will not wait, and he's had to help them rather than interview them, and that might have made all the difference. 30 seconds to go. It's going to be the shortest warm-up in history. Into the flow of the River Thames, and they've just about made it. Certainly not enough time to get themselves into the perfect position, but they're in the water and away. 1,500 metres of swimming to start this race off, and they head upstream to start with, the hardest part of the course. Know-how is vitally important here, knowing which part of the river to be in at which stage of the race. As expected, Louise Gubb, the first of the triplets out of the water. She's got a time of 27:05, which is very respectable.
See you later.
So Louise leading Jane, with Vicky in third position at the moment.
Your sister's a couple of minutes up the road already. I think you can catch her on the bike.
Has she gone already?
Yeah.
Oh no. See you in a bit.
And Vicky eventually getting on the bike just under 5 minutes behind sister Louise. So lots of work to do on the bike. Someone you might recognise from CBBC or Sky. A complete triathlon convert who runs his own triathlon website is Joe Tidy.
Very excited, yeah. I've been wanting to do this race for a long time. It's absolutely brilliant. I actually grew up not far from here, and I had a place a couple of years ago, but I got injured, so nothing was going to stop me coming here this year. It seems to be one of the best in the country, and actually one of the best in the world as well. I've seen lists that have got, you know, top 20 triathlons in the world, and it's way up there, probably because you've got the castle, you've got the Thames, you've got the lovely Windsor Great Park and everything, so really looking forward to it. I did a couple of marathons, just, you know, when I finished uni, me and a friend just decided to do a few. And I find the training really hard and really boring. So you wake up and you think, right, I've got to do some training today. Trainers on the road. But with triathlon, of course, fancy a swim, go for a swim. Fancy a bike ride, go for a bike ride. I quite like that about it.
All the age groupers making their way through transition one. Off come the wetsuit, on go the helmets as they prepare themselves for the next phase, a 40-kilometre bike ride. There have been some really good performances in the water, and there's a lot of competition out there. Jim McKellar coming through transition. Now he was 2.5 minutes behind John Hogwood out of the water. He's made up a massive 2 minutes in transition and got himself back in the race. Great effort.
So the latest edition of one of Britain's most historic triathlons is underway. Thousands of age groupers out getting to grips with this course. Join us after the break as we focus in on the elites, hoping to create the biggest waves here in Windsor. Welcome back to the ancient royal town, playing host to the modern-day sporting phenomenon. The elites are preparing for their three-stage battle here in Berkshire for this year's Triathlonguard Windsor Triathlon. Meanwhile, for thousands of others, the adventure has already begun.
Wave after wave of age groupers going off from 6 o'clock this morning, and they've all finished the swim onto the road now for the 40-kilometre bike ride. And the triplets we saw at the start of the race, very tardy preparation this morning, but they finished the swim and they too settling into their rhythm out on the roads. Here they are, and leading the way is Louise.
Yeah, that was hard.
2:22 is Jane, who was some 3 minutes behind after the swim.
Just trying to settle on the bike. Catch my sister up, somehow.
And 2:96, that's Vicky, who was the slowest in the water, but making really good ground on the bike and starting to close down on her sisters.
Windsor forms round 2 of the British Triathlon Super Series, so there are vital ranking points at stake, as well as the prestige of winning on the royal course. Emma Pallant ran away with round 1 in Blenheim, and having been victorious here in Windsor 12 months ago, she's here looking for the double, but there are plenty of other classy elites hoping to challenge for top spot today.
So after one race, the rankings exactly the same as the results in Blenheim. 100 points going to Emma Pallant. Kate Roberts from South Africa was in second, and third place was Sophie Caldwell. Neither of those two are here. And so a real opportunity for the defending Windsor champion and former track runner Emma Pallant to extend her lead.
Yeah, I think it's definitely starting to come a bit more naturally. Like, I'm not getting so worked up about the transitions. This time last year I actually got a penalty because I unclipped my helmet before racking my bike, and now I'm looking back on it this year thinking, what was I thinking? Like, I'm so much more clued up about the technical side of things, and hopefully I'm starting to get like more endurance and fitter as well, because like you say, coming from a 1500 to suddenly 2 hours of racing is a big difference. But having had a year behind me, hopefully I've made up some ground.
Jenny Manners finished 12th in Blenheim, but judging by her results from last year, she's capable of much better.
So I'm doing all the other races, so Liverpool and London as well, yeah.
And what are you looking for? What place overall?
Well, I was third in the series last year, so ideally I'd be on the podium again, if not higher. But yeah, my first race didn't quite go to plan, so I'm hoping the next 3 races will be better.
A little jostling on the start line, everyone keen not to lose ground in the current, but also wanting to hold their position. Pallant on the far side. Not sure that's the best place to be, as that's where the current is strongest as it comes round the corner. But what they do want to do is get across to the far side of the river as quickly as possible and use whatever eddy currents they can find to help them upstream in this 1,500-metre race. So it's 750 metres up against the current, and then they turn and fly down towards the transition area. A couple of good starters on the near side. Looks like Kimberly Bell's had a good start. Katie Singh, who swam well in Blenheim, has got off to a good start as well. And osteopath Hannah Kitchen is in an excellent position at the start, and Emma Pallant losing just 3 or 4 places, so I think she'll be happy with the start, but crucially she needs to be with that first group. And it's Kimberly Bell setting the pace up front, broken away from everyone. Formerly a very good age group athlete, now holding her own in the elite field. Kimberly Bell joined by Hannah Kitchen and Katie Singh soon after the start, so a breakaway of 3 getting away in the Windsor Triathlon. And at the back of the group is Katie Singh, who came from the sport of modern pentathlon to triathlon and is doing exceptionally well.
The multi-sport aspect really appealed, so did the slightly longer distances. The swimming in pentathlon was 200 metres in a pool, so a 1,500 metre mash-up in open water is slightly different. But no, really enjoying it. I've been in triathlon for a couple of years now, and it seems to be going well. So quite a technical swim. You've got the swim against the current, a couple of tight turns.
So round the turn and then downstream at twice the speed that they went upstream. And the same three coming into the transition area together. Kimberly Bell, the first out of the water, followed by Hannah Kitchen, who's pushed the pace in the transition area and should be first to her bike. Now, a clean transition, so important. The hardest part perhaps getting the wetsuit off, but no problems for Kimberly Bell. Stay calm and everything will happen smoothly. And at the moment, they've got a 20-25 second lead over everyone else, which is very handy at this level. And away goes Hannah Kitchen. Singh has gone from third up into second, and Kimberly Bell throwing away those precious seconds as she's joined by the chasing group in the transition area. There's India Lee. Bell finally gets away. Emma Pallant into transition. Now what's she going to do? This is an area that certainly needs improving. A penalty last year in T2. Well, that doesn't incur a penalty, but it certainly loses her 4 or 5 valuable seconds. A little bit scrappy. Now that's something that Team Dillon are going to have to work on. Why throw away your chances on the easiest part of the course? Running out of T1 as always, and then onto the bike. This is another area where Pallant can gain a few seconds. There's certainly room for improvement. There's no doubting her talent, but there are areas she can get better. Now she is on the chase. The elite men yet to start, but it will only be a couple of minutes before they get underway. Most of them going through the warm-up process. This is a very interesting battle between youth and experience. And of course, with Matt Sharp absent, the winner from Blenheim, I guess a big opportunity for Mark Buckingham to pick up the 100 points, but he's got some good opposition. David Bishop certainly will be challenging all the way. Buckingham, though, if he can get a good position on the bike, he's a strong runner, having come from a running background.
It's for year 4 of doing triathlon now, so I can't say I'm a noob anymore and new to the sport. But, you know, the more races I do, the better I've got over time. And finally, I'm just probably about 10 seconds further up the field, and it makes a huge difference to come out with a pack. Windsor always seems to bring out a good race. You know, it's a good time of year, it's a great course. And, yeah, it's great to see a strong field.
Olympian Stu Hayes is here, who played domestique to the Brownlee brothers in London 2012. He's a former World Cup winner, but like all the older athletes, injuries playing much more of a part in his sport.
Yeah, I've had a stress fracture in my ankle, and it's only just been diagnosed 3 months ago. But I've had the rest, and it's healed, and I'm back racing again. I'm not in good run shape at all, but I've been doing so much swim biking that hopefully it'll carry over to the run, and I should have a quite good race.
Two-time winner here in Windsor is 40-year-old Richard Stannard, who's a brilliant swimmer, and he'll know exactly where to be to go with the flow, having raced here so many times.
16 times at Windsor, I couldn't believe it myself. Somebody worked it out in the press this week to say I think this is my 16th, so 15 done, 16, and this will be my last as an elite athlete. I'm definitely going to come back as an age grouper. Came 10th in my first race, so if I can finish in the top 10 again, I'll be well pleased.
And if any race suits experience, it is this one here in Windsor, because the swim is so technical, and Stannard's know-how in particular could prove useful. So well-fought start in the Windsor Triathlon, and it doesn't take long for Stannard and Hayes to stamp their authority, getting a good lead on the way upstream, perfectly positioned in the river, and when they were round the turn they just extended it. Stannard doing all the work out front. Perhaps a little bit of a deal done here, because Hayes, by far and away the strongest cyclist, but sitting on the feet of Richard Stannard all the way through the swim.
With this being my last one and the swim being my strength, I'm going to really put down a hard swim. Stuart, I know, is cycling incredibly well, so if I can sit on that rear wheel, which having chatted to him, he said he's in incredible bike shape, so if I can just hang on to his rear wheel, perhaps we can stay away from those whippet runners.
Well, that's going to be the big question all the way through the 40-kilometre bike ride, because Hayes and Stannard first out of the water, and that's another little feather in his cap. 16 times he's competed here in Windsor from 24 events, so the 25th anniversary next year. That's going to be a massive event. And the chasers round the corner. Another 50 metres to go before they exit, and the clock ticking away, 46 seconds behind. That's one of the biggest leads we've seen out of the water in recent years. Buckingham, Bishop, Matchett is there in that chase group. Harrett's done well. And Stannard, a 25-metre lead as he comes up towards the bike stands. Now, with his experience, this should be very smooth indeed. Hayes alongside him. There's no panic. Multitasking. On goes the helmet as off comes the wetsuit. And away goes Stannard on a look down the transition area to see where the opposition are. He won't know, but he will have guessed that he's got 45 seconds or so. Buckingham and Matchett coming in one behind the other. Bartlett and Bishop, and then Atkins in the red suit. Lots of intensity in the transition area now. Buckingham trying to encourage the others. He knows that his best chance of catching Hayes and Stannard is if he has some company on the bike, and he has got company. 5 or 6 of the strong athletes in this field, and they can work together. And of course, the bigger the chase group, the better their chances of catching the two leaders. And especially with Hayes likely to be the only leader in this group of two, because it looks as though Stannard is blowing already, working hard, gritting those teeth, just trying to stay on the rear wheel of Stu Hayes. Great power being applied by Hayes. Big question mark over his run. Here come the chasers, and it's still Buckingham, Harrett, Matchett and Bishop who are there. And they can't see the leaders because they're over 500 metres behind, but if they work together, they should be able to close the gap. Meanwhile, the age groupers out front, having started very early this morning. Everyone with their own aims today. Some just trying to finish. Others have 2 sisters to beat.
Right, I'm out of here.
Louise still leading the battle of the triplets, ahead of Jane and Vicky.
I've seen Jane on the turnaround. I'm okay.
And with the dead turns here on the Windsor course, a great opportunity to catch up on your rival's position. One turn up at the castle, the other down at Eton College. And back with the elite women, the 2 leaders, Singh and Kitchen, who was European age group champion back in 2011, being caught by the chase group, which contains certainly Emma Pallant's in there, Jenny Manners, Kim Bell and Thomas, and India Lee also in that chase group. And it looks as though those at the back are just cruising. Pallant is making that look very, very easy. Those at the front working hard. India Lee, who finished second in Windsor last year, a rising star in the world of British triathlon. So many youngsters, so many age groupers who are totally committed to the sport. And the rewards of their work, the fact that they have now caught the 2 leaders. So a group of 8, and the quickest runner in that group, without any question of doubt, is the fleet-footed Emma Pallant. In the leading men, it might be a little harder to catch the 2 leaders because Stu Hayes is still pushing it out, pushing a hard gear. Stannard grimacing as he was after about 500 metres on the bike, and constantly checking over the shoulder. Good start, he says to Hayes. It certainly has been, but his turn at the front is short-lived. Stannard, of course, who teaches swimming, less time to focus on the other 2 disciplines. These guys They'll spread it out very evenly. They know you cannot afford to have a weak leg in this game. David Bishop, his twin brother Tom not racing today. And again, Stannard looking over the shoulder. As he and Stu Hayes, have they got enough of a lead to hold off the chasing pack before the run? Which, of course, the age groupers are undertaking at the moment. Thousands upon thousands. It is not an easy run course. It's a real challenge, the Windsor course. And that's why so many people enjoy it. And so many enjoy watching it. And the first of the triplets across the line is Louise Gubb. That's a good day's work from her after a good swim, but not far behind. Jane, an outstanding performance. And last but not least, it's Vicky, resigned to defeat at the start of the day and quite happy with it. They so nearly missed the start of the race, but I don't think it would have affected the result.
I mean, your sisters beat you by just a little bit.
I'm used to it. It's all part of it. I'm always last, but hey, I give it a good go. And they're always really supportive of me. They're always waiting for me at the finish line.
Well, look, you all had good races, but we just got to perhaps work on our timing, haven't we?
Mum and Dad will kill us when we tell them.
I don't know what happened. I'm not sure what happened, why we were so late.
An impressive bike ride from Joe Tidy is going to have him finishing in under 2 hours 40. Great day's work from him.
Joe, you look fresh as a daisy.
You're lying. I'm very pleased. Great medal. Really happy, yeah. Brilliant course. Loved it. Really good. I think it's a brilliant event. I mean, it's unique in the sense that how many things are done in the Queen's back garden, you know.
Every ounce of energy expended out there on the course today. Well, some have still to finish, and the elite men are still pumping away. Stu Hayes with the lead, but not for long because the chaser's finally going past him, and now he's got to find the strength just to lock on to the back of that group. David Bishop moving up alongside O'Brien who's been very solid in that chase group. Atkins, good performance by him, and another little break coming in. It's Stu Hayes once again who tests the chasing pack. He's not going to let this one go. When he won his only World Cup, he broke away from the world's best triathletes. They didn't know how well he could run at that stage, and therefore these guys will not want to see Hayes disappear over the horizon. Round the dead turn, where you need to be very careful. Harriet safely round. Now the dead turn's often an opportunity to get away if you're in the lead three, and once again there's been another little bit of a response, and that's probably why Hayes accelerated into the turn. This time he's got Matchett in black and Jack Hall for company. Now, a bit of a question mark over Jack Hall's running, but he'll be delighted to be in the leading three at the moment. Matchett, fifth in Blenheim. Can he make the top three here today in Windsor? Hayes looks as though he's enjoying this. He knows he's the strongest on the bike, but somehow he's got to outwit the rest of this leading group. There go the chasing pack down towards the dead turn. They're no danger to the men on your screen now, and Buckingham has a go. He's going to try and get away. Now, along with Bishop, he's one of the strongest runners in this group, so it might be the sensible thing to do to stick in the pack and arrive at T2 with fresh legs. But he's giving it a go, maybe wanting to finish it off before he gets to T2. Maybe not as confident in his running as we are. Bishop's not going to let Buckingham go, that's for sure, and he closes the gap very quickly. Now, will these two be able to work together? Still a way to go. Bishop looking comfortable, nice and steady position on the bike, good cadence, good speed as well, but inch by inch the rest of the pack are closing down. We've got this on the run, says David Bishop. He's obviously feeling good. and perhaps trying to encourage Mark Buckingham not to make another break, but he might have to, because Stu Hayes is going to have another crack. 10 out of 10 for effort from Hayes. Incidentally, Richard Stannard still in the pack, so he's done well to hang on. There are one or two who've tried to get as easy a ride as possible. Neil Eddy from Penzance with a lot of potential. Nice to see him up the front and being mentored by Stu Hayes. Hayes trying to encourage him to push and push. The chase group now 6 seconds behind, and a sense of urgency from Buckingham, who's been the general in the chase group so far today. Pushed them out of T1. He's pushed them all the way along on the bike ride.
Let's keep going. I'll tell you. They're giving up.
Easier said than done.
Work as hard as you can.
Worked as hard as he can. He's already chin strapped, but it's been a great effort and a very interesting bike ride all the way through. Buckingham, O'Brien and Green on the far side. Now they start to work.
Come on, mate. Hang in there.
And I think Hayes has realised that this break, like those that came before it, has failed. And now the pace just settles for a while. Will anyone else have a crack as they approach T2? So important to be in a good position coming into T2. And the women have arrived there, and it's Singh, Katie Singh, who is first in. Good discipline from her. Indian Lee just back in around 5th, 6th place. Emma Pallant, she made a little bit of a mess of T1. Well, that's a little bit tough on Kimberly Bell, but a very good example of why it's good to be first into T2, because you can't be impeded. And Pallant is still there. The clock is ticking. She runs like the wind, but even she can't afford to give away too much time, and this is something that Michelle Dillon will not like to see. There's so much to work on with Pallant's transitions. 26 seconds now that she's lost coming off the bike. Now, that makes a challenge for her, because Lucy Smith is flying. Good start to the run from her. Zoe Thomas in second. We've got Jenny Manners in third, and right behind her is Katie Singh. So those are the leading four women starting to work their way through the age group men, who will no doubt be impressed with the pace that the leading women are setting. How long can Lucy Smith hang on? 22-year-old from Loughborough. Loughborough sporting so many of the top triathletes at the moment, as they do with many sports. A very small intake of water, the rest used just to bring the body temperature down. And so soon after the running race starts, the climbing starts up towards the castle. A real test for the legs, and a real test for those who haven't done the transition training, the brick training as they call it, where you prepare the legs for that switch from the bike to the run. It takes many, many years to get good at it, and it's what the Brownlees are so good at, what's brought them so much success. A number of the age groupers applauding the women as they make their way up to the top of the climb. It's a steep, steep climb as they approach the entrance to the castle, and then they'll do a 180-degree turn, and then a chance to open the legs and build the speed. There's a good stretch of running after this turn. Singh moving up to second ahead of Jenny Manners. India Lee also on the charge. Remember, she was runner-up here in Windsor last year, and she finds herself in 4th place at the moment. Good strong runner. Strength, core strength, the ability to take a lot of power through the leg, take a lot of stress, so important. The technical training is the part that you never see, and it's something that many of the age groupers never do, but it certainly pays off. Katie Singh alongside Lucy Smith. She's timed her charge well. Looks a little bit tight in the shoulders, but the tempo is very, very high. Now she'll be feeling fantastic. She has the lead here in Windsor, and I think she knows that she's got to push 100%. She won't be worried about Lucy Smith. She won't be worried about Jenny Manners, but she will know that Emma Pallant is the one athlete who can run her down, and therefore she's got to keep pushing from the start. 2 kilometres gone, 8 to go. It's going to be a long, long, hard race for Katie Singh, and Pallant, wearing the light blue tri-suit, has moved up to the back of that chasing group, stride by stride, closing down on the race leader. I'm afraid it is inevitable. The question is, what will Katie Singh do when Pallant comes up alongside her? Will she be able to respond, or will she just continue at the pace that she's setting at the moment? And it's very interesting to see the age groupers racing alongside the elite, because it shows you just how good the elite are, how fast they're travelling. And I'm sure there are comments amongst the age groupers of disbelief. And of course they realise what they've got to do if they want to reach the top level. Pallant is nearly there. She's moved up into second, worked her way through 5-6 athletes already. But Katie Singh still leading out front and bidding for what would be a tremendous victory.
So the leading elite women have finished with the bike course, and they've headed out onto the undulating 10K. Remember, Emma Pallant is trying to close in on what would be an historic double here on the streets of Windsor. Meanwhile, it won't be long before the elite men have finished the end of their bike race. Join us after the break for what is sure to be a fitting climax to a great weekend. Welcome back to the Triathlonguard Windsor Triathlon, to a town that's been triggering great sporting drama here for more than a century. In 1908, the Royals witnessed the start of the Olympic marathon from the walls of Windsor Castle, and once again the ancient monument plays its part in today's drama, but over a much shorter distance, raced at a much faster pace. And this 10K course has shown us in previous years here at Windsor that it can be the making or the breaking of even the toughest elites.
The men now approaching T2, and once again the pace has built. Stu Hayes has dropped away a little, and it's Mark Buckingham who's got pole position. He knows the importance of being first into T2. Off well before the line, taking no risks today. O'Brien's got himself into third place. David Bishop's dropped down to around 6th, but he's still well placed to challenge here in Windsor. T2 is quick, certainly quicker than T1, but it's far more important, because to lose 5-6 metres on the run takes a lot of effort to catch up. Stannard not happy with the youngster's position of the bike. Perhaps a little unnecessary, but it shows the intensity of the racing out there. David Bishop will have let that go over his head. He's got to relax and get into his running as quick as possible. Matchett is the man who leads. Disappointed that he didn't qualify for the European Championships. Here to prove himself today. Buckingham in second place, the man who was second in Blenheim. And then behind him, O'Brien, the Irish national aquathlon champion, but a very well-established triathlete as well, as Buckingham goes through into the lead. And that beautiful loping style of his that came from lots of fell running and lots of steeplechase racing as well. He's a strong, strong runner. And he looks it here today in Windsor. It's taken him no time to open up a gap of 10, 11 metres. And if he keeps this pace going, surely victory will be his. But there is a long way to go and a lot of climbing to do. Harriet A good junior from Wales with Atkins right behind him. Those two could have a little tussle as the race goes on. Bishop lost time in transition and has a massive amount of work to do as Buckingham strides up alongside the castle. He will be the first to the turn and the first to enjoy the downhill stretch that takes them out back towards the river. Behind him we've got Matchett, then O'Brien in third place, then Bishop moving up, Harrett just behind him. Well, this is turning out to be a cracking race, as it so often does in Windsor. Matchett 6 seconds down on Mark Buckingham. Buckingham established a lead very quickly, but he's not extended it dramatically over the last kilometre or so. Matchett, a win would be fantastic for him, but he's got the company now of David Bishop, who's got into his running. Now, Bishop started far too fast in Blenheim alongside Luke Penny. I think he's gone for a more conservative start here in Windsor, and that might bode well for a good result. He's in second at the moment, but leading the women's race is Emma Pallant, as expected. She's gone ahead of Katie Singh, and now just flows away. She really enjoys her running. India Lee in fourth at the moment. Work to do if she wants to match her runners-up place last year. Here are the two just in front. Kitchen on the left of your screen, Singh there as well. Emma Pallant goes past Jim McKellar, who is still out on the course. Remember, 78 years old, and perhaps one of the most inspirational athletes here today. Jenny Manners looking very comfortable. Emma Pallant likewise out front. Mark Buckingham, the first up the hill to the castle entrance once again. David Bishop, well established in second place now. Buckingham heading for home. Emma Pallant is even closer. She's got a lot to learn in triathlon, even she will admit that, but as a physiotherapist, she'll know all about anatomy and physiology, which should prove very useful in her triathlon career. Team Dillon, she points out. That's the team that are supporting her and coaching her at the moment. Stu Hayes, Michelle Dillon. How far can they take her? I wonder. She gets yet another victory. 2 in a row for Emma Pallant. Chasing hard in the women's, Jenny Manners, 12th in Blenheim. She's made a massive leap to finish second here, and she'll go rocketing up the Super Series standings as well. Right behind her, Lucy Smith comes in third. Good swim run background for her, and she looked okay on the bike as well. But no one could compete with Pallant on that final stage today.
As soon as I get my running flats on and I know I'm in the lead group, I always feel quite confident and feel quite good, because it's the bit I enjoy. So I try not to think about like who's in front and how far in front. Like Michelle said, just go off steady and just feel good in the run, which I did, just relaxed. And yeah, I just pointed to Team Dillon because they've been so, like, I haven't got any funding, and they've taken me from not knowing anything about triathlon, and they brought me up to this in like a year. And I'm so thankful to Michelle and Stu, all they do for me. Like, I even stay at their house, and this is for them really.
That's my best performance in the Super Series, so I'm so pleased with that. Yeah, especially my run. Looking to do London and Liverpool as well, so hopefully I can get a good overall ranking.
Well, it's definitely given me the confidence that I sort of have the ability to get in like the top few, whatever, and hopefully sometime like win one of them. So yeah, it's given me like a massive boost of confidence.
But today it is Emma Pallant that's won, and she makes it 2 out of 2 in the Super Series, 35.23 on a tough 10k run. That is an impressive performance. If she gains time in the swim, she's going to be dangerous. Now in the men's race, Mark Buckingham has gone into cruise mode, I think, as he comes down towards the finish, just straightening up his number, and he starts to show signs of appreciation to the crowd. He knows victory is his. The work was done early on the run, but he did his fair share on the bike as well, and He's earned enough of a lead to be able to give his dad a timely hug before he completes the last 50 metres. So second in Blenheim, first here in Windsor. He's the new leader of the British Triathlon Super Series, and that's a very convincing performance from Buckingham. Runners-up spot going to David Bishop. Fifth last year. He's getting better, and every time we see him, he's getting stronger. Great race from him. And Wales claiming third spot in the men's with Iestyn Harratt. One of the youngsters that will start to challenge the big names very, very soon. But it's Mark Buckingham who's dominated the run. He pushed hard early on and no one could live with the pace.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with that. It was sort of a strong race the whole way through. My swim was okay today. I did quite a bit of work on the bike, and I was really concentrating on the first sort of 2 or 3k of the run, because that's what's been sort of my weakness this season so far.
Well, it looked as though you were really putting the gas down on the first lap. The first 3k was really quick.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's quite a quick course. The first K, obviously, you've got to run up past the castle. That's quite tough, but once you go around the corner there and down the hill, it's really quick for the next sort of 3K. So, yeah, it is a fast course. It's good.
So, David, another round of the Super Series and another podium finish. You're getting closer to top spot.
Yeah, well, third last week, sorry, and second. So maybe what's next? London. Try and go for the win there, maybe.
It was quite difficult for me. It's my first time racing here at Windsor, so I didn't know the course or anything like that. And the swim caught me out a little bit. Last week I was first out at T1 at Blenheim, but unfortunately Richard Stannard got away this week.
So there are the results. Mark Buckingham from Holmfirth Harriers claims the victory in Windsor ahead of David Bishop and Iestyn Harratt, and Alex Matchett having to settle for 4th place on the day. A much better swim from Buckingham, setting up his victory here today. And once again, a strong run, 31.41 for the 10 kilometres. The men's Super Series, Buckingham tops the table, 190 points out of a possible 200, with Bishop in second, Iestyn Harratt in third yet again. And in the women's Super Series standings, no surprise to see Emma Pallant sitting out front, 200 points out of 200. She's flying. A win in London or Liverpool, and the series will be hers for 2014. Katie Singh and Lucy Smith tied on 145 points in second place. Thousands of age groupers already finished. Jim McKellar, who started early, will be one of the last to cross the line, but he'll get his medal from the fastest man of the day. What an effort from the 78-year-old.
Oh, thank you. Well done. Thanks for waiting for me. Yes, the crowd were fantastic. The swim was tough, another challenge. Can't wait for next year. I'm sure I'm improving with age.
So no doubt Jim will be getting his entry in for next year as soon as possible. It's the 25th anniversary of the Windsor Triathlon.
Well, an early start here, but it was worth it. The two former track specialists, Emma Pallant and Mark Buckingham, running away with the elite titles to round off what's been a thoroughly enjoyable weekend here in Windsor. Round 3 of the British Triathlon Super Series takes us to London, but for now, it's bye-bye from Berkshire.